morning. Um, Welcome to our dedication. Bensalem is happy to see you here, and we hope you cherish this moment as much as we do. And thank you for coming.
Good morning, everyone. Look what the Lord has done for me. First, I would like to thank you all for coming out this morning to witness this historical event. Second, I would like to thank you all for having supported me for the last 1 year and 11 months today. I have a story to tell. My story is long, but I'm going to try to make it short so that I don't have to keep you waiting. I can see the mayor laughing at me. I don't have any short stories. My story begins like this. I spent several years selling fish dinners, chicken dinners, barbecues, bake sales, trying to raise enough money to save my crumbling church. It just didn't seem to work. I prayed and I prayed, asking God for an answer. Well, one day, I think I found the answer. In the company of Mr. Walter Arch, will you stand, Walter, so everybody can see who you are? We met each week over at the Senior Citizen Center, and he would always check on me to see how my church was doing. He says, Juanita, how is your church doing? I said, Walter, it's just not doing. He says, what are you going to do? Winter is coming. This was in November. I said, I just don't know. I have prayed and prayed and prayed, and it seems like God doesn't hear me. I would often say, God, do you hear me? He said, well, what do you think we should do? I didn't have an answer. He says, maybe have you thought about going to talk to the mayor? I said, yes, I've thought about it. I said, but I've been too many times already. He's always supported us, whatever we did. I can't go again because I feel like I'm a beggar. He says the mayor wouldn't feel that way. I said, well, let me think about it. Walter comes back a couple of days later, and he says, Juanita, if I would go with you to see the mayor, would you be willing to go? I said, oh, yeah, misery loves company. He says, I'll see what I can do. A couple of days later, he comes back and he says, Juanita, I have an appointment for you to go to see the mayor and the Bensalem Township Council, Mr. Ed Kisselback. Will you let them know who you are, Mr. Kisselback? So off we go to see the mayor. Of course, now they get me to the door and they take a seat and they leave me standing, and I said, oh, well, you're on your own. The mayor greets me with tears running down my eyes, and he says, Juanita, what's wrong? Well, I guess I'm a beggar. I'm here to ask for help to see if we can save my church. He says, what's wrong? Well, Mayor, it's starting to crumble, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to hold service there. He said, well, you know, I was passing by a few days ago, and I noticed that you need a paint job. I took one step back, and I said, Mayor, it's not much left to paint. He says, how so? I said, the wood is in pretty bad shape. He says, I could get you some paint, get someone to paint it for you. I said, but there's not much there to paint. The mayor got in his car and he drove over and took a look, called me a couple of days later and said, Juanita, you're absolutely right. There is not much to paint. He says, but stop crying. I'm going to save your church. That's all I needed to hear. I've been on a high ever since. He made one phone call. Mr. Ron Davis, are you in the house? Stand up. He made a phone call to Mr. Ron Davis, told him about Juanita Whitted that was in his office, and she needed help. I won't tell you what the conversation was from there on. It got long. But you know what? He started to work on it immediately. Immediately. He started making phone calls and contacts and getting it together. And he hasn't stopped yet. So I'm going to put a bookmark here at my story because I know you say we don't want to listen to you all day. And I'm going to introduce to you to some and acknowledge to others because a lot of you already know the mayor. But the next voice that you will hear will be that of the Honorable Mayor Joseph D. Girolamo, and he's going to continue my story. But if you want to hear some more of my story from me for today, just hang around. I'll be here. I love to tell my story because look what the Lord has done for me.
Good morning. Juanita told you a story, but she doesn't tell you everything that went on in between that. I didn't do this by myself, by no stretch of the imagination. This is a really, really team work that's been done there, and everybody that did this, later on we will honor all of those with a dinner and everything. There's so many volunteers that made this happen, and a lot of people that put a lot into it from this community. The community. We are blessed in Bensalem to have the greatest community anywhere. It's not too many years ago, our Carrier and Times wrote on a headline, Bensalem, model for America. And we live by that. We live by that. Don't bring up to me diversity. It doesn't bring anything with me because we're all together. This is not a time to talk about this side, that side, an R, a D. I gave a speech the other night, and I said I'm an H. Everybody's looking at me. What do you mean? I'm hope. I live for hope. We can be on any side of the aisle you want to be on. Take it out of it, guys. Take it out of it. Build a community like we're building here. Not me, Joe DiGirolamo, a council, myself, everybody working together with volunteers. People giving up their time to make these kind of things happen for the future of our community. You know, I remember this church didn't even have a cross on the top. Didn't even have a cross on the top. I would ride by here and I said, you know what? I don't think Bensalem really knows what's there. The people don't know. Our historical society has done a great deal helping us get there. This is a day in history in Bensalem Township. This is where we come from in Bensalem. But we have to do these things together. That's why I'm up here, for no other reason, to represent a community that is above all the best. We are one of the best voted 50 best places to live in the United States of America. It's not because we got the nicest looking buildings. That has nothing to do with it. It's because we have the heart. We have the school district. We have people working together. We want to educate our kids. We want to let them out and not be bound by anything. And we have that opportunity here in Bensalem. We're going to continue that. I know she wanted me to continue the story. But if I continued her story, this road wouldn't be open for the rest of the week. By the way, I heard of parting the seas. You know all that in the Bible. That's a great miracle. This comes close to closing a road in Bensalem Township to be able to dedicate a church 200 years old. I want to tell you in all sincerity, I'm a blessed person. I'm an individual that's been blessed. If God takes me tomorrow or even this evening or this afternoon, He's given me the tools and I tried using them. Have I made mistakes? You better believe it. But if we keep working together, community. If we work, there is no diversity here. We have some famous places in Bensalem. We have St. Catherine down at the Blessed Sacrament. Sister Pat is here. Sister, stand up. Sister of the Blessed Sacrament. And sister, also stand up so you can be recognized. The reason I pick out, if you know anything about St. Catherine, you'll note it was for the African American children and the Indian Native Americans that she dedicated her life to. To this day, our sisters continue that. There is no Catholic, there is no Methodist, there is no Christian. And they live up to that to this day. And sister, I thank you for that. And I pray every day that we don't lose those sacred grounds. Anyway, is this an amen? I didn't hear you. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Well, my presentation is not long, it's very short. Okay. I have the honor of presenting to you the president of the Bensalem Heritage Foundation, the organization that was responsible for spearheading the renovation project of our beloved church. He has worked very closely with the mayor, our Mother Juanita Whitted, and volunteers. And I have the honor of presenting to you Councilman Edward Kisselbeck.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I am Ed Kisselbeck and chairman of the Bensalem Heritage Foundation. And there's so many people to acknowledge today, and I would like to do that to the best of my ability. And we'd like to start with Mayor DiGirolamo and the Bensalem Township Council. Without the mayor, this project would not be where it is today. And now, working hand in hand with the Bensalem Township Council, we worked with the clergy of the AME Church, Mother Bethel, and put the plan into action. I'd like to acknowledge our Bensalem Township Council. Joe Knowles is our president of council. I am the vice president of council. Joe Polari, of course, is our secretary. Also, we have Tony Belford, our member of council, and Brian Allen, who is not here today, is also a member who worked with us diligently. Acknowledging those individuals in the very beginning stages of this project, we have Bishop Gregory Ingram, we have Elder Reverend Jocelyn Hart, Pastor Legionor, I love saying that name if I get it right, Pastor Jones, and we, of course, Juanita Whitted, who worked together. We all worked together in the beginning stages and put this plan into action. I also would like to acknowledge the opportunity who I just met, Dr. Natalie Alford, and have the privilege and would be happy to work with her in the future because I know she's really a part of Bensalem. Thank you so much for everything that you've done with us in the short time you've been with us, and God bless you for everything you will be doing. This plan of action is a historic community event. It's something, it is a legacy project. It's something that we brought the community together, regardless of our religion, regardless of our race, regardless of our political affiliation. And this is why, as the mayor just said a moment, the Courier Times has called us the model for America. We are also the City of Peace, and when we were established, that was our acronym. This is the name that we went by, the City of Peace, Jerusalem. That was Bensalem originally. When I first started this project, the first group that I called was our union friends. We called local IBEW, local 98, Mr. Rodney Walker from the electricians, local 167, that's our local carpenters, that was Mike and Kevin Morrow. We also initially then we called the District Council 21, which is Mr. Fran Lachlan and Matthew Cortez, who is here also today. And these are the people that started from the very beginning, put the first nail into the floor and onto the walls, and we're here from the very beginning much longer than we had thought it would be, but with us every single day working on the project. I also have special acknowledgments that I would like to read to you because these are people that really, really went beyond the call of requirement or what we thought they could possibly do for us. The first person I would like to acknowledge would be Mr. Al Chadwick. Mr. Al Chadwick is the gentleman we ask, is a good friend of the mayor's, and the mayor asked him, could you do us a favor? Could you work on the heating and air conditioning for us? Could you do that for us? And of course he came in, looked at the property and said, well, I can do more for you. He's the individual, and his company is the company that actually expanded the community room that you're going to see later on this morning. It doubled the size of the community room. It added ADA accessible men's room and ladies' room. It has a magnificently beautiful kitchen. In addition to that, it has the community room where all of us can fellowship when it comes to time to relax and have a good time together. We insisted, we talked to him a number of times and said, you're doing enough, please stop, we'll take it from here. And he insisted on doing it over and over and over again. That's the type of guy he is. That's the type of companies we have in Bensalem Township. Also equal to Mr. Chadwick and his company is the Parks Casino. Ron Davis was the gentleman who worked with us, who also became a member of the foundation, and who was very intricate in obtaining us the funds that it had taken in the beginning to get us started. When we're running out of funds and getting to a point where we're getting close to almost concluding the closet, this project, Ron went to his people, talked to him as he has that persuasive way of doing things, and convinced them to add to the funds to continue the project. So Ron is also, and he's proud of this, I'm sure, is an honorary member of Bensalem as a citizen of Bensalem, as he's just received the Citizens Volunteer Award 2016. Thank you, Ron. Also, the Bucks County Tourist Center, we applied for a grant from them, and they were very generous, and they had given us a great grant where we're down to the conclusion of the program and helped us finish this on time. Mr. Jerry Lepping is the founder, or the gentleman who runs that. The Bucks County Technical Institute, that's our high school students. And if you go in this afternoon or this morning when you go in and look at that bench, they duplicated the actual size dimension of the benches and took it from what used to be a pine, if you know anything about carpentry, pine wood, and now it's going to be in hardwood. It will outlast the church, and the design of it is absolutely magnificent. The same size, the same dimension, and they'll be finished up. And that's our high school. That's the type of children and kids that we have. Also, I did see Fred Stein in the audience earlier. I don't see him right, but he's a quiet kind of guy, but he is here. He is a gentleman who basically, he's a promoter. He helped us initially when we had our fundraiser at Parks Casino. He basically guided us along how to do all this stuff. Now, I'm bringing this up because Mother Bethel AME Church was also the intricate part of helping us from the very, very, very beginning, and we couldn't have done it without the help of many of the people that are involved with the church, because they were here volunteering, helping us from the very beginning to the end. Money Magazine has named Bensalem one of the best 50 places to live in America. Also, another group, Colin Powell's group, called America's Promise, has proclaimed that Bensalem is one of the 100 places to raise your family in the United States of America. This is all not because of us, but it's because of the people I'm now going to read. It's the community groups, the organization, the corporations that are here in Bensalem Township. I'm going to go through these alphabetically, but these people have to be acknowledged because without them, we would not be here today. Andrew Trailer, Chris Manna, and Jerry Manna were part of this. Bensalem Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Al Googler is the chairman. The Bensalem Historic Society, Sally Sandusky is here. She's also our treasurer. And without her, she keeps it down to the exact penny, and I know exactly what's happened with the money. She does a wonderful job. And the Historic Society is also an integral part of what we do. The Bensalem Military Advisory Board, Joe Slemmer and his gentlemen are here. They're all here as a group. Always gave us a very, very good hand from the very beginning, helping us with the project, cleaning up the cemetery and such, and they're part of what we do. We have the Boy Scouts in America, also part of that project. Ganter Roofing donated his time, so we have a brand new, beautiful roof that's going to protect us, because that's the first thing you have to do when you do construction. The Home Depot, Mr. Joe Devlin. Habitat for Humanity was involved in this project. Florence Kowalska was here with us. The Lions Club, Ken Buckalow and Tom Vasic were here. The Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Dan Bates. The NAACP, it gave us many volunteers that helped us do a lot of things as far as what's happening here. The Newtown Roofing and Siding, Mr. Jimmy Highstand did the siding and the soffit and work like that. O'Donnell Nacarado was one of our engineers. New Visions Pioneers, the Liberty Bell chapter, Linda Jones is here. She did a lot of the shrubbery work that's working here. Also the Rotary Club, Joel Perkins. Termite Proofing and Pest Control with Steven Speranza did all the work, the preliminary work, so we knew that it was safe, because that's why we had to replace the pews. They were all termited out. They were gone. And some of the heavy duty work, so they did a lot of work for us. Realty Landscaping, Mr. Cliff Greer and his group did the landscaping and the bushes and things like that, the shrubbery. And they are the people that have helped us out as groups and individuals. Also, if I may continue, and I have to do this because it's something I really want to do, actually. Individually, we had Walter Arch, which was our historian, good friend of mine. Barbara Barnes, secretary of the mayor. I couldn't have been here without her. She absolutely, she would do it before I would ask her. She's absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Barbara Barnes. Mark Conley, who's our superintendent, who ran the job for us. Mr. Paul Giordano, our accountant. Frank Payne was a construction worker. Joseph Pizzo, our Esquire, our attorney, that did a lot of legal work for us. Simone Newkirk, she helped us out in terms of being part of the foundation. Frank Goldstein also was a part of the beginning of this, helping us with some of the union members. Matt Takita was an architect. He works for the township as building and planning, and he was certainly a part of what we did there. That is all the names I would like to mention today in corporations. I would like to say to you, from my point of view, that I've been very humbled to be a part of this project. I've had the opportunity of working with many people that are much more skilled than I, much more intelligent than I, and they are great people to work with. I am also proud to be part of this project, this legacy project that will be with Bensalem, and it will give us the opportunity to bring our children and our grandchildren and their children and grandchildren, and tell them about the history of what is here, about Bishop Richard Allen and how he was a slave and became a free man, how he became an entrepreneur and had his own business, and when things weren't going his way, he didn't sit down and pout about it. He got up and started his own church, which is known and acknowledged and is throughout the entire world. Imagine that, to tell our children. Continuing the history, we had, of course, Leroy Allen, who was a Civil War veteran who was buried right here in this church. We had the opportunity of learning about that. We'll teach our children about the Underground Railroad, how the farmers, the Purvis family, worked together with the church members to hide the slaves, to make sure they could go to freedom on the Underground Railroad, an intricate part of what we're doing and something we want to keep in the history of Bensalem Township. This to me was a labor of love, and this is the neat part about this whole thing. When I picked out a quote to tell you why I did this and why I could get through the hard times and even the easier times, it's the same exact quote that we had heard earlier on, Matthew 25, because whatever you do for the least of my brethren, you do it for me. And that's why I did it. And God bless you, God bless America, and God bless everything we did today.
Look what the Lord has done. Open your eyes. Have a sense of joy and celebration. Come on now. Here we are. After being denied and deferred and rejected, God was doing a new thing in their midst. After being out of this church for so long. And here we are. Reverend Jones, here we are. And I've already said to myself, I was sitting there, I'm making all of you all affiliated members of the AME Church. Giving everybody a certificate. I'm blessing you right now. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. So come on, Bensalem. Come on, Reverend Jones. Come on, all the members. Let's stand on our feet and give God a big hand praise, because this is the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Somebody say amen. Somebody say amen. Somebody say amen. God bless you.